She is 25 years, would you believe? You wouldn't know to look at her, in strategic communications, and she's a fellow at the PR Institute of Ireland. And she's also a director at Cork Chamber, at the PRCA. She's also director at the Good Shepherd Services, and most recently at the Dublin Airport Authority, as well as, of course, as being a wife and a mum. Ladies and gents, please put your hands together for Anne-Marie O'Sullivan.
Evening all. I suppose, as Idan said, I won't go back over the CV again. Thanks very much, Idan. I'll just move to one. I suppose what I wanted to talk about tonight, and as you said, it's a completely different subject to DC, is the Focus Ireland Shine a Light Night 2013, which I participated in just about 3 weeks ago. And some of you might be aware of Focus Ireland in terms of their work for essentially helping to end homelessness in Ireland. They're constantly fundraising for their services. And last year they came up with this concept of Shine a Light Night. And basically what they did is they invited a number of business leaders to take part by sleeping out overnight. To, I suppose, twofold. One was to raise awareness of the issue of homelessness in Ireland, and then secondly, obviously, to generate funds as well for what they do. It was a hugely successful venture last year. 55 people slept out overnight in the Ivy Gardens in Dublin. They raised over 370,000 euros for the Focus Ireland services. And following on the success of that, the guys in the fundraising department decided to broaden their reach this year. So they came to Cork. And I was one of the people who was invited to participate. Now, for those of you who know me, and there are a couple of you in the audience, what could I say about that? I suppose there are a couple of things. I have never in my life camped. Okay, I would like to just own up at this point, ever. I have never slept outside as a child, never slept in the back garden on a sunny night, never slept on the beach in Greece. And I've certainly never gone camping in a tent anywhere, okay? A mobile home I will do, that's about it, okay? And my husband is here tonight and he can absolutely lay claim to the fact that he's been trying for a number of years to persuade me to go on a family camping holiday, and it has yet to happen. Because there's issues with bathrooms and, you know, small animals and things like that, okay? So there I was a bit torn because I have actually been quite involved in a number of other organisations that work with the issue of homelessness. So I've done work with Cork Simon over the years. As Don mentioned, I'm on the board of Good Shepherd Services. So one of the facilities that we have in Good Shepherd is Edel House, which is the emergency shelter for women and children in the city centre. So very much aware of the issue and what's involved. And then there's the camping out piece. So anyway, that was the first challenge. And I suppose the second challenge was that every one of us that was asked to be part of this was given a target of money to raise, and that target was 5,000 euros. And at that point, I was really thinking, guys, there isn't a hope. Now, they pointed to last year's figures in Dublin, all of that. So look, eventually the guys said, look, what we're really keen to do this year is just kick it off in Cork, you know, develop a bit of awareness around what's happening. So therefore, look, if you don't get it, it's a target. You know, always have something to aim for, but if you don't reach the target, that's okay. This is really about more the awareness piece and driving things on. So I said yes, okay. So just 3 weeks ago, 18th of October, this is the Cork crew, 15 of us, who made our way up to Cork City Jail to do the sleep out. It's quite a diverse group of people. Obviously, it's a mixed group, but we have people from, you know, Conor Healy from Cork Chamber. We have Caroline Coonahan, who's the manager of Brown Thomas. Dan Kiley from Vox Pro. We have Adrian Bartels from the Cliff House Hotel. It's just a huge range of different people. Some of us knew each other. Nobody knew everybody in the group. So, and we were all a bit the same. we think we should be here. We think it's a good thing to do. It's an important issue, obviously, to drive awareness to, but just not quite sure. I suppose what was coming and what was ahead of us. And I suppose once we got into it, the night itself was kind of an interesting night. This is Mark Byrne, and Mark is the acting CEO of Focus Ireland. Mark came down and he did the sleepover in Cork with us because we were the newbies, whereas they had 60 other people in Dublin. A lot of them had done it before. So he came down to be with us. And I suppose the most striking thing for me on the night was this particular quote, and it's something that I tweeted about on the night as well. There are 5,000 long-term homeless people in Ireland. And I said, that's a solvable problem. And it is. You think about the scale of that, it is a solvable problem. So why hasn't it been solved yet? What's wrong? Why have things not moved forward? And it comes down to obviously a range of people. I mean, homelessness happens for just a whole complex number of reasons. There's no one reason why somebody's going to end up homeless. The guys in Focus Ireland, and they have services right around the country in 8 or 9 different centres now. In fact, the Cork services only opened officially in September. But, you have everything from, say, people coming out of prison who don't have somewhere to go. You have people who just, through economic circumstances, suddenly find themselves homeless or almost at risk of being homeless. 1 in 7 of those 5,000 is a child. So, it's I suppose you walk down the street in any city or town in the country and you will see homeless people. And the natural reaction, I think, for a lot of us, or the default reaction, is to kind of look away or to kind of walk past, and it sometimes it's a bit uncomfortable, and I suppose that was part of the sleep out and the shine a light objective, was so that think about this in another way. Just rather than just seeing this as a particular problem, think about this in a different way. So on the night, and that's just a lovely picture, one of a number of lovely pictures is going to be coming up now, I have to say, right? You will notice as it goes on, the lady's hair changes, okay? It was a very, very wet night, so makeup started going, hair started going awry. So much so that the guys in Focus Ireland did a blog, and they did a blog with each one of us before the night started and the following morning. And girls, for all of you in the audience, the following morning, we all kept our hats on. There was going to be no sleep out hairdos the following morning. But seriously, I suppose what that picture, I suppose, is designed to capture. This is the very start of the evening, and again, it's the awareness piece. So we had photographers there on the night. We had a couple of journalists. Again, this is what I do. I'm in PR. I'm very conscious of that. So Mary Hopkins, who's also in PR from Hopkins Communications, and myself and Conor Healy, the CEO of Cork Chamber, the three of us just asked, would we pose for the photograph at the start of the night? But what it does show, I suppose, if you look, you can see the pieces of plastic. We're all actually in our own sleeping bags at that point on the plastic, on the grass outside. That was early on in the night when it was dry. That was to change. I suppose just before I kind of kick off on how the night itself went, in terms of the fundraising piece, as I mentioned, we all had individual targets. And I thought it was just a scary target. So, the question was, okay, if this is something I'm going to do, I'm going to take it on properly. So how do I actually go about trying to do this? So I basically pulled together a list of clients, suppliers, people I just know, acquaintances, and I did personal emails out to, I suppose over the course of about 4 weeks, I sent a couple of 100 emails, but each one was done individually. I just kind of felt, look, if I'm going to do this, there's no point. I could have done one of those, send out a kind of a general one to a mailing list ones. But I just felt if you're asking somebody to actually support you for something, then, the personal touch is important. So those emails went out. We did a bit of a push. Some of the guys are here from H&H tonight. We did a bit of a push on the company's Twitter and Facebook accounts. Did it on my own personal accounts as well. And it was a fantastic response. I think everybody just has this sense when you hear the word homelessness, I mean, personally, I can't imagine not having somewhere to go home to tonight. Even if it was a room, even if it was just somewhere where you could just be yourself or be on your own and feel some way safe. The fact that people don't even have that type of facility, to me, is just it's wrong on so many levels. So again, as I said, I have been involved with this type of issue for a while. But so anyway, huge positive response from people. Donations actually ranged from a £5 to one of my daughters, who was very proud of herself because she managed to post online and do the whole online thing, right up to €500. So, you know, it was fantastic, the support we received. The day itself was particularly miserable. This is just, you see the group kind of, we did, I mean, it was a bit like, anybody who's familiar with the Simon Soup run, it was a bit like that at the start, about 10:30 at night. We went into the marquee, we all had soup and sandwiches before we bedded down for the night. And here is Caroline bedding down for the night. But on the day itself, 18th of October, people won't remember this, but the night before we had absolutely torrential rain. The day itself dawned bright and beautiful, unbelievable rain. Sitting having breakfast with my husband and my two daughters, who are 14 and 11, and I passed some comment like this, there wasn't any chance, I suppose, that they'd call it off tonight, looking out literally at the torrential rain. And my 11-year-old says to me, "Mum, if you were homeless, you'd still have to sleep out." I just thought, geez, what am I like? You know? She's dead right, like, so. So that was that. The other weird thing that day, and Aidan mentioned that I was recently appointed to the board of the Dublin Airport Authority. The 18th of October was particularly auspicious as well, because it was the first time that the board of the DEA had ever met in Cork, and I'm taking full credit for bringing them to Cork. So it was just one of those weird days where I spent most of the day at a board meeting, left that, went home, grabbed my gear, and then decamped up to the city jail. So just, you know, a whole load of, I suppose, different emotions and different things going on that day. As I said, the makeup starts wearing as the night goes on and the hat comes on. So there we are, literally sleeping out. A few things from the night itself. Two, I suppose, particularly sobering moments for me. One, the thought as I got up the following morning, having spent a lot of the night with the rain, snuggling down in the plastic bag, hearing the rain in the bag, but trying to stay as dry as possible. And just thinking, God, how could you do this night after night after night? And we got up the following morning, and Julia, who was beside me, we were kind of balancing and getting out of the bags and trying to still keep dry even though it was raining. And somebody said, "Guys, let the bags go. You don't need to keep them dry anymore. You know, you're finished now." And then it kind of dawned on me, yeah, but like, could you imagine having to go back out again tonight? There's no way you'd keep the bags dry. So, you know, I suppose just from that point of view, the guys in Focus Ireland achieved, I suppose, what they wanted to do in terms of that awareness piece and in terms of what they were trying to achieve. We were lucky with the weather in that it was very mild. We were still going through that mild spell, even though we had torrential rain for the most of the night. But, you know, what would I say? It wasn't an easy night, but it was one night. That's all it was. And from a personal perspective, you know, it was a challenge. I'm glad I did it. You know, we were tweeting during the night. You know, there was a bit of banter early on in the night. Then as kind of we all started quietening down and falling asleep, things started kind of, I suppose, becoming more sobering for people. I don't think you can take part in an event like this and not have it impact on you personally. And that was obviously part of the reason for doing it. But I think it also shows the important role that the business community can play in helping to drive awareness. I mean, €370,000 was raised last year in the Sleep Out in Dublin. That's a phenomenal amount of money by any standards. And again, you know, Focus Ireland targeted business people. They targeted people who had connections, and that really worked for them. So again, just a couple of shots, us in our plastic bags. We literally were given sheets of cardboard and plastic, and that's what we made do with on the night. This is the following morning. This is why people are looking a bit jollier, because we finished. So back into the tent. You know, as I said, it was an achievement. Again, the thing that sticks with me is that it's a solvable problem. Focus Ireland genuinely believe it's a solvable problem. I think they're right, but it's going to take a huge amount of effort. The government has cut funding for social housing even by a phenomenal amount, 72% over the last 5 years. So, you know, where's it going to come from? It's not an easy question to answer either, but the facts are there. And just to close out from personal perspective, is that I was blown away by the levels of support that I received. And I'm currently at 6150 in terms of the amount of money that I've managed to raise, which again, as I said, is a personal achievement that I'm very proud of. And I haven't finished going out to people yet. So if anybody would like to tonight, there's no pressure. Or just, get in touch with the guys in Focus Ireland, because they're always looking for volunteers. And that's it.